to this edition of Together at Lively Stone. I'm your host, Courtney Triplett, and I'm excited to share with you all the exciting things Lively Stone has in store for your worship experience.
This past weekend, we had an opportunity to welcome an amazing gospel group that is filled with young men and women that are excited about Jesus. Oral Roberts University's Souls of Fire traveled from Tulsa, Oklahoma to be with us here in St. Louis for a concert and our Sunday worship. Today, they took the time to sit with us and tell us more about who they are and share their experience here in the St. Louis area.
I got involved with Souls of Fire after seeing them minister in the chapel service, and this piqued my interest. The gospel was really good. And so the following semester, I decided to audition.
I was involved in choir all 3 years of high school, and so that was one of the first things that attracted me to Souls when I applied for ORU. And so when I again heard about the group, tried out, and I involved in the
Souls was, I would say, the reason why I came to ORU, to be quite honest, to be a part of a group where we all come together and do what we do best, and that is singing gospel music. So
I had a friend. She wanted to audition for a group called Souls of Fire. I didn't know what it was. I basically just went because I only knew 2 people, and she was one of them. She asked me to go, but I didn't want to audition, and just fate happened. I walked in, auditioned, and actually made it.
My first trip with Souls was my sophomore year. We were actually here in St. Louis for 2 weeks and did a primarily outreach-based trip with an organization here and did a lot with the international community here. Following that, we went to the Northeast, so we were up in New York and Maryland and Jersey, a little bit in Tennessee. So we were there for a whole month in that region. Then last year, we spent 2 weeks in the state of Texas. So we went everywhere from Dallas to Houston and Austin, Grand Prairie area. And now this year, we're planning to go to the West Coast. So we'll be everywhere from New Mexico to Vegas and California. So Souls have gone pretty much everywhere nationally and still have no place to go.
I think my favorite part of that trip was just the fellowship and the friendship that we all built off stage. And I think that the friendship that we built off stage really helped our ministry on stage. To be friends and to know each other and to know each other's spirit helps us to connect better with each other when we're ministering. And then also for the people, and then just unto God, and we encourage each other through scriptures, and we correct each other when we're wrong, but it's just the friendship that we all share is what keeps us.
For me, key moments would just be every Tuesday. Every Tuesday, getting together with people you genuinely care for. As an environment, as a family, come together. Even if you're not singing or you have nothing to do, it's just great to be around those types of people. So to me, it's not going places and showing out. To me, it's just every Tuesday being consistent. Just the family atmosphere that we foster, and letting that bleed into what we do other places. That's how I like it.
First and foremost, Souls is family, and has such a rich history. Not just because it's been around for over 40 years, but we've come in contact with so many alumni. Someone was telling us on the other day that they're posting pictures on Facebook of when Miles Monroe was a part of the group and he went on tour, and so there's just a history of family. I would say Souls of Fire is also just practically a ministry group, minister gospel music, and that has transformed and grown over the years to what that looks like. But the heart of it, I would say, is the same, like ministry group, ministers gospel music, and does so in a powerful way that has changed a lot of churches and a lot of cities and a lot of communities. So say Souls is a family, Souls is a ministry group, but ultimately Souls is the Lord's. I don't think it would have lasted this long if God's hands weren't on the group. I would say that's Souls of Fire.
During our Youth Sunday, Minister Lauren Scott preached for the very first time at Lively Stone Church. We caught up with Minister Scott to ask him about this first experience.
So being a team spiritual leader, how will that carry over into ministering here at Lively Stone?
The interesting thing about that is that I've thought about that, and I've thought about my experiences up to this point. And if anything, I think that the opportunity that I was afforded in ministering to the team every single week was very dynamic in the audience that I was speaking to. And I'm saying that to say this: as I'm speaking, there are people in the room who are Christian, who are Muslim, who atheists. There are all kinds of people in the room, all kinds of different spiritual backgrounds, all kinds of church experiences. And I think the interesting thing about that is that it all warrants one response, which is people who are sitting in their chairs, just staring at you with absolutely no verbal or audible response. And that's nothing like our church at all. I mean, especially when you talk about Lively Stone. Lively Stone is a very live church. We're very emotional, very responsive. And so the opportunity that I had before I even got here is to be able to stand up there and minister to people and them not say a word, but afterwards be able to come to me and say, that really hit home with me, that really was deep to me. And it just lets me know that you can't pay attention to the faces in the crowd. And so me being able to come home and know automatically that I'm gonna get certain responses from certain people, and knowing that I'm gonna have people who are going to respond to what I have to say, it just encourages me even more, because I've already been in settings where it hasn't happened like that, where I don't have people who are saying, amen, pastor, amen, preacher.
Did you really feel a lot of pressure, like, while they were just staring at you?
I think maybe the first time I did, but not after that, because I began to see what it's really all about. And my dad said something really interesting to me a while ago. He said that more than anything, you're going to reach people because of who you are. And the word speaks for itself. The gospel speaks for itself. You don't have to be anything other than who you are to present the gospel. The gospel is going to speak to people. And so their response is not really an indication of how they're receiving the gospel. And so you can't pay attention to the faces in the crowd. And so that was something that I learned early on in my last assignment, and knowing that I'm coming home and that the faces are going to be all over the place. I mean, this is Youth Sunday, right? I mean, how many youth come to church anymore? I mean, how many youth are constantly in church and really audible and verbal and responsive to the things that the preacher has to say? And so I think that, if anything, that experience has really prepared me for something like this, because I'm not altogether concerned with what you may say or how you may respond. I just know what God has given me, and I can just give that to you. And the way that you receive it is left up to Him. And so I think that's the best way that I've been prepared for this moment.